Welcome to the Art of Transitions. My name is Gwen Mazza, and our show today is focusing on childhood cancer and a book that's recently come out about childhood cancer and the impact on children. Our guest today is Debra Ortiz-Pardi, and so stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back. I'd like you to meet Debra. She's the author of My Friend Zach, our show today. Welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Gwen. It's great to be here today.
I asked Debra to come be with us because she and another young lady have put together a book that I think is really important for the children in our lives. And I was hoping that Debra would share with us what your experience was like putting the book together, how the concept came, and why it's so important that we have an opportunity to have a tool like this. So, My Friend Zach, tell us a little bit about this book and how it came to be and why you were interested in even putting this book together.
Okay, well, 2 summers ago, a family moved in 2 doors down from my family, and their son, at the time he was 4 years old when we met them. Their son Zach has cancer, and he befriended my daughter Eva, and they became instant friends, instantaneous friends. And he had just finished completing recovery from a relapse with neuroblastoma.
Can you tell me a little bit about neuroblastoma, what you might know about it? I understand you're not a doctor. However, you seem to have quite a bit of knowledge, having put together this information in this book.
Yeah, I learned a lot about the disease through Zach's dad, and he shared a lot about their journey and about the disease itself. And neuroblastoma affects 650 children in our country. It's a fairly rare pediatric cancer, and the treatments that are available for neuroblastoma, many of them aren't available, or they're very expensive because you know, it's difficult for pharmaceutical companies to take on a treatment or a product that is only available to a small segment of the population. So what I learned about through my conversations with Zach's father is that there's much needed funding for neuroblastoma treatment and for other pediatric cancers as well. It's a very aggressive cancer. It usually affects children at a younger age, although it can affect children at any age, usually starting 18 months to 5 years old. And
very little.
It's very, very little. Zach was just a baby when he was first diagnosed, and thankfully he's been doing very well, particularly in the time that we've known him, which has been great. But unfortunately, he's been very fortunate with a relapse. 1 in 3 children survive relapse. So it's also a disease that has a very fatal outcome, and the average lifespan of these children are 5 to 8 years old. So as you can imagine, we worry and pray all the time for Zach and his future. And of course, you know, the friendship with my daughter as well. So, and they have a terrific friendship, and his illness isn't something that comes into play all that much with their friendship, except for when he has to go away for his scans. He's on that 3-month cycle where he has to go in and get his scans done, and we're always on pins and needles when that happens.
It's interesting because one of the reasons I was wanting you to come be on the show is that oftentimes we will see the parents and sometimes the children who are diagnosed with cancer and the impact to the family. And yet there's many others of us that are also impacted. And so you offered an opportunity to the community and for us to be able to share the tenderness towards the children and others down the street. It may not be in our immediate family, and yet it still impacts us. And there's love, and there's sharing, and there's caring that goes along with this.
Absolutely.
And especially for Eva and all of those little Evas and Zachs out there who are impacted by their little friends who can't quite understand what this huge, big concept is.
Exactly. You know, when Zach was younger, when we first knew him, he had a port that they would use to access a line. And, you know, we didn't really talk about with Eva, okay, what that is. You know, sometimes if it came up, we would, but that never really impacted their friendship. They really have just this pure friendship. What affects her and what the book really addresses from her point of view is how she feels when he's gone. You know, she's not thinking about he's going to go get scans, or in the book it's to go get treatment for a relapse. It's about, why can't I play with my friend? How come he isn't around? And just coping with missing that person that she looks forward to seeing every day. And, you know, for these past 2 years, unless Zach is away for his scans or, you know, his tests, or if he's in the hospital because he has a fever, or if we're away for some reason, they see each other almost daily. So
it's a big deal.
It is.
For
They look for each other. When he gets home, he's looking for Eva. When we get home from somewhere, she's looking for him. So that friendship is very important to them.
I do find it always beautiful how children can just overlook some really pretty big things, like, you know, a stint, or, you know, different kind of things that are happening. And then it's not a big deal. As adults, we don't tend to be as, you know, overseen. We notice those things.
Right.
And yet kids, even our own, you know, shortcomings and blemishes, kids are very much more accepting and much more loving. And they keep it in that beautiful, simple terms of, why can't I be with my friend?
Right.
And where is my friend?
Right, and that's exactly what this book deals with, is not having that friend around, not knowing if that friend's going to be coming back, or when they're going to be coming back, or if she knows that he's sick, but, you know, wondering how he's feeling and when he's going to come home.
And sick for her means a little different than sick for him. Does she have any of that concept, or not really?
I don't think so. I don't think she realizes the gravity of what his situation could be if he were to relapse again. I'm not sure if she really understands that, and that's going to be someday, hopefully not anytime soon, that we might have to grapple with down the line. And when and if that happens, we'll deal with it and we'll talk about it. But for right now, we're enjoying just having Zach in our lives and enjoying that friendship. And it's not a perfect friendship. They bicker just like any other kid.
That is a perfect friendship, isn't it? It's an absolutely perfect friendship. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So, Eva and Zach, how did you move from watching this friendship and being present with that friendship to even begin to think about writing a book? I mean, because writing a book and getting it illustrated is pretty big. And the illustration done by Tracy Newton, who's an absolutely lovely young woman.
Yes.
The illustrations are fabulous.
She really captured the essence of every page and every word, and she was really able to capture the spirit of the characters in the book and their emotions. She did a fabulous job with that, and I couldn't have chosen a better person to partner with on this project.
Yes, and at some point we're going to show you some of the pieces of work in here and some of the different pages, and we will share that with the group and move forward with that. Well, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about how the book actually came about. Where was that thought where were you when that thought came? I think I might do something with this.
Well, it kind of came out of a conversation. As I mentioned earlier, Zach's father, Rob, he really spent a lot of time talking with me, and he shared and was very open about their journey. And actually, we were sitting around a fire pit with some neighbors one evening, and you know, I just started asking questions about, you know, how long has Zach been ill, and what has it been like, and what is treatment like, and, you know, how do you cope as a parent? I can't, you know, imagine
those big questions.
And being faced with having the possibility of losing your child, it's just unimaginable. And it happens to more than 600 families in our country is facing with this, and that's just neuroblastoma. There's so many other kinds of pediatric cancer that affect children and families and other loved ones. And so he started explaining to me about his story and his journey, and also telling me about an organization called Band of Parents. Band of Parents is a group of parents who have children with neuroblastoma, and they basically banded together in order to raise awareness and raise funds for neuroblastoma cancer research.
Is there a website for?
Yes, for Band of Parents.
There is.
Yes.
I'm asking you off the cuff, and I'm sorry to put you on the
It's
spot.
bandofparents.org.
It really is. Okay, great.
Yes, and it's also listed in the book, because part of the goal with the book is to raise awareness about this organization and about neuroblastoma, and they really do have a lot of great information on their site. So if people want to get more educated about this type of cancer and about the research and about the lack of funding and about the exciting treatments that are on the cusp, they can go there and they can do that. So this organization of parents of kids who have this disease, and they're on those 3-month cycles going to get their scans, and many of them are dealing with relapse. Rob is constantly sharing me stories and telling me when another family is experiencing a relapse, and it's constant. And you're always praying and afraid about what that outcome is going to be. Well, all this work that they do through this organization, they sell cookies to raise funds. They have a shop on their website to help raise funds, and they do different things to raise money for research. But some of the stuff, the work that they do, can go on the wayside if their child is in relapse and they are in the hospital with their family. So that got me thinking, well, this organization is fantastic. It has these people who are doing wonderful things to promote the awareness about what they deal with every day, but it sounded to me like it can get hindered, or they can have to take a step back because they're dealing with the illness of their child, which is what they should be focusing on, is being with their child, being with their family. So then I thought, why aren't there more people out there who aren't directly affected doing something to kind of pick up some of that load or to add to that pot of money towards research? So then I said to myself, well, if I'm going to say that, then I need to do something. And that's when the wheels started turning. And I didn't know what at first I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something. And I wanted it to be big, and I wanted it to help to bring in I knew what my goals were. I wanted to help to raise more awareness about this disease. I wanted to help raise more awareness about Band of Parents and what they do. And I wanted to help raise funds for Band of Parents. And
this project actually ties right into your education.
Yeah, I guess it does.
It does.
Yeah,
when I was looking over your resume and kind of the information, I said, well, this is interesting. Communications, English, writing arts. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I guess some of that thought process came into play
as
I was
using your natural
about
gifts.
What I wanted to do. And I bounced around different ideas and doing different fundraisers here locally. And I know how challenging that is because I work in nonprofit, and we have to do special events all the time to raise money for that agency that I work for. But so I know the challenges around that. And I also know the challenges around having to raise awareness and raise funds around something that's not affecting everybody in our community.
Right.
And it's a national problem. And a lot of times when people give, they want to give to something local. They want to give to something that affects them. And I think cancer and childhood cancer affects more people than maybe we realize, because we are friends and neighbors of people who are grappling with this disease. So, so I really gave it a lot of thought, and just one day it popped in my head, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And I do enjoy writing, I enjoy creating, I enjoy designing. So I thought, okay, what if I wrote a book, a children's book? And so, well, what would I write it about? What would it be around? And immediately I thought, well, it has to be about Eva and Zach and their friendship. And the title came to mind right away. It's the first title that popped into my head, My Friend Zach. It's simple, it's to the point, and it embodies what the whole book is about. And then I just kind of went from there. And, you know, the book really starts with, you know, my friend Zach, he lives 2 doors down, you know, and that's how it starts.
It's exactly...
Yeah, it's how the book starts, and it's kind of how our story with their friendship started as well.
And I'm gonna open that book.
Yeah,
right
please
now.
do. Yeah.
And so keep going. I'm gonna look at and show some of the pictures to the audience.
The book is inspired by their friendship. So it is a fictional story, but it's inspired by the friendship of Eva and Zach. And it's kind of a what if. What if Eva knew Zach when he actually relapsed? So, and how would she feel? And I've seen how she's felt when he's been away. And the longest that he's probably been away is about 2 weeks in the time that we've known him for scans and tests and things like that. But, just going and following how this little girl feels, and with her friend being away for so long, and in the story he's away for quite some time. So, and when Zach was in the hospital for treatment for his relapse, he was away for quite some time as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember Rob telling me that they were away for about a year.
Were they really?
Yeah.
That is quite a long time.
Yeah.
Quite a long time. These are just so beautiful, and if we could just share some of these with the audience, and I'll have our technical guys show some of the slides.
That'd be great.
I'm looking at page 14, which would be Eva, or a friend.
Yes. And I didn't name the girl in the book. It's based on Eva, but she's nameless, and I kept her nameless purposefully because this friend could be anybody. It could be any child. And of course, I suppose I could have left Zach nameless too, but then we wouldn't have a title. So, and of course, Zach could be any child as well, suffering from a childhood cancer or even a childhood disease. And the word cancer is not used in the book. And I did that for a reason as well. Of course, by reading the pages, it alludes to cancer. But there are so many other childhood diseases that affect children, and where they might have to be away for a while for their treatments. So I wanted the book to be a little bit more global. So that,
great idea.
So that families who are affected by childhood illness, whether it's a sibling or a neighbor or a friend, they can turn to this book and hopefully springboard some conversations. You know, how did Eva feel at this point in the book, or well, not Eva, the child in the book,
right.
Feel at this point? How do you feel? And just talking about how you can cope when someone is away because of dealing with an illness or is dealing with an illness.
This is, two things are going through my mind. Number one is that this is not only a great book just to have for young people at home, this is a great book to have in pediatric offices just for young kids to be able to have moms and dads to pick up. So I can see this going into the hospital centers, and again in pediatric places, any place that a child may need just a little bit of support and help and hope.
Comfort, and hope.
Comfort and hope.
Yeah, and hope is a big theme in the book as well. I mentioned earlier that 1 in 3 children who relapse from neuroblastoma don't make it. Well, in the book, he makes it. And we want every child who has this disease to make it.
Right.
And I think that's one of the most important things that I'd like people to walk away with from this book, is that you can have hope, and you should never give up. And, you know, we need to support causes like Band of Parents and support cancer treatment for children so that they can get the best care possible, so that they can grow up with their friendships and grow up with their with their childhood friends, and hopefully benefit from a cure someday. So
I'm going to take a peek now again at this book and talk a little about the illustrator, who is Tracy. How did you come about Tracy? I happen to know Tracy as well, so this is kind of neat.
Yes.
You got to the point where you were writing the book and putting some things together, meeting with Rob, kind of doing a more global, general piece of artwork, because to me it's artwork. Tell me about putting the call out for an illustrator.
Yes, well, I have no problem with the writing aspect of it.
Okay.
I am not talented as an illustrator or as an an artist, with the hand. And so I had all these images in my head of how I would like the illustrations to look and the feel of the story and all that. So the first thing I did was, okay, I need to find an artist who's willing to donate their services to this project. So I just put an email blast out to all of my contacts.
Good for
and
you.
just sent that out and put it out there and prayed and just waited to see what came back, and I received responses almost immediately. And I had 3 people who responded who was very strongly interested in this project. And the one that ended up coming forward and gelling was Tracy.
Yes.
And Tracy and I know each other through church, and her mom and I sing together in the church choir. So it was actually her mom who responded first and said, well, I have an artist in the family, and she ran it by Tracy.
Great.
And Tracy decided to tackle the project. And I looked at some of her artwork, and we met together and we talked about concepts, and we kind of mapped out the book together. I gave her my vision, and she captured it to a T.
So are these pencil drawing?
Yes.
Because we were looking at these, prior to shooting our show today, and the gentleman in the back, as well as I, were just looking at them. And when I had seen them before on the bigger board, I was just blown away, as were the gentlemen in the back, about the detail that Tracy's able to capture. Amazing, amazing work, such as on page 3, we have the picture of Zach and his playmate, and a dog, and the detail is incredible.
It is.
It's absolutely incredible, and she's so talented and so young, which is the other piece. My guess, when we were talking, we guessed that Tracy was probably around 19 when she was drawing these.
Yeah,
so
she was a freshman in college.
That's pretty intense for pencil drawing and being 19 years old. So quite an artist, and I thank Tracy for her willingness too to jump onto this project.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She did a terrific job, and I hope I get to work with her on future projects.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. What was it like for you to get it published?
Amazing.
Because it's one thing to write it, another thing to have it illustrated. Now, pretty amazing and pretty intense. Talk about the process of getting it published.
Well, I did some research, and I was a little bit familiar with different publishing options from my education background, and I started to look into it more aggressively as we were working on the book. And I met with a local publisher who self-published his own children's books, and got some great advice from him. I looked into different options. I went online and looked for different publishers, and a lot of the publishers, they prefer you use their artists, and I already had an artist. I didn't want to go with anybody else for my artwork. I knew that Tracy had it dead on. So you lose control over the book. You have less control, I think, over the book creatively when you go with, a bigger publisher. So this being my first children's book, and really I kind of had my vision chiseled out in my mind. I wanted to take it in my direction. So I decided to self-publish. And I found actually Tracy is the one who recommended it to me. She had a friend who used it. Lulu.com is an online.
I'm hearing a lot of people using that.
Yeah, it's online, on-demand publishing.
Right.
So the book is not right now available at retail outlets.
Yet.
Yeah, someday, now that the book is done, I'd love to have a bigger publisher pick it up and say, okay, we want to make this more globally available.
If we can take a minute and just capture this, because I really want to make sure we do 2 things, is let our audience know right now where they can obtain the book. So the website where they can obtain the book, again, is
www.lulu.com.
And you will see that again on the screen.
Yep. And it's /my friend Zach.
Okay.
And then they'll get right to my storefront.
Okay. So they can reach that that portion, buying the book. If someone has questions or just fascinated by some of this conversation today, I want to also make sure they can get in contact with you. So your website, your email is?
My email to reach me personally is mfzbook@yahoo.com.
Great.
And I can also be found on Facebook at my friend. I have a page there called My Friend Zach. So just search for My Friend Zach, and you can fan the page.
That's fabulous.
Yes.
So we're going to encourage all of you to fan the page. We're going to encourage all of you to go to lulu.com/backslash.
Yeah, I think it's backslash.
My Friend Zach.
Stuff all the time.
We're going to encourage you to get to you through Yahoo, and our wonderful technicians here are going to make sure you have all that information on your screen, which is always a pleasure for me, so I don't have to remember all of it. In terms of the whole projects, what were the gifts that you received from putting forward such a generous gift from your part and Tracy's part? What were the gifts that came back to you?
Oh, goodness. Just knowing that I was able to help with something bigger than me, and seeing the appreciation from people affected by childhood cancer, you know, Zach and his family, and just the overwhelming support that I had received as well through the whole process with friends and family, my church family. They were a really big part of making this book possible. You know, they helped to raise some funds to support the book and to purchase a modest publishing package through Lulu. So that was a huge help. And just seeing that support and seeing other people rally behind this project, just that was overwhelming for me. So to have that kind of support. And I think I will have more gratification in this project once it really launches and is successful in helping to raise funds, and seeing some of those goals being realized. All
of these proceeds go directly back.
I don't make a dime. Yeah,
correct. That I'm aware of too.
Yeah, all the money goes directly to Band of Parents. So any proceeds from the sale of the book goes directly to them, goes directly to research. So. And really, you know, it was wonderful. The day that my first copy of the book arrived in my mail, I was so excited, and I just broke down. I was so happy, you know, the tears came. Yeah. And of course I ran out and informed Zach and his family right away and showed them the book immediately. And we were just all so excited. And so really that day was the beginning. Even though the project is 2 years in, that day is the beginning of this journey.
Well, there was another piece that I don't know if you even realized you said that I'm very excited, and that is, I heard you say, my first book. So my hope for you and for those that you serve and are so loving toward is that you have many, many more books with many, many more beautiful illustrators and illustrations come from that wonderful soul of yours. So I thank you on behalf of being someone who is touched by your life. And I'm sure that there's many folks in the community who will benefit from the opportunity to not only read this book, but share it with a child or children. And in the meantime, what I'd like to do is I'd like our viewing audience to know if you'd like to contact Debra, her contact information is on the screen. I'd also like to remind you that you can meet and connect with the Band of Parents at bandofparents.org via the website. And finally, if you have suggestions or ideas that you'd like to see presented on this show, you can contact me at the following information as well. And I'm always excited to hear new ideas and concepts and things that are important to you as our listening audience. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for coming to be with me, and I look forward to us seeing each other in the future.
Oh, thank you, Gwen.
Love, you're welcome, honey.
This program was produced through Penfield Community Television in Penfield, New York.